Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining and welcome back to Wall Street Bullion. Our guest today is Stephen Hochberg. He is the Chief Market Analyst at Elliott Wave International. Welcome to the channel, Steve.
Thanks, Ivan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming down. This is your first time on the channel, so it's like really great to have you speak to the whole community, the investing community, silver and gold community. And I want to get you down to talk about, all the craziness in the markets, geopolitical tensions. But first, let's start off with the markets. What are your thoughts on Trump's tariffs against China, him dropping it for 90 days against Mexico and Canada? How will this affect the markets? And yeah, just what is your overall opinion on it?
Yeah, it's pretty chaotic and pretty crazy out there. We come at it from a little different angle at Elliott Wave International. The model we use, it's called the wave principle, looks at human psychology, crowd psychology, and how it reverses from pessimism to optimism and optimism to pessimism in a very patterned way. So when we're looking at the market and we employ our model, we're not really looking at outside externality. We're looking at human psychology. Where are we within the development of this of the pattern that we're following, and implies something about the future. So while things are pretty chaotic in terms of what the president's doing and so forth around the world, I think the patterns of the market are pretty clear to us in terms of stocks. We've topped out. In fact, most of the stock indexes topped last November. Dow Utilities, Dow Transports, Dow Jones Composite, the industrials held up till December, and then Bitcoin peaked in January, and then finally the S&P and the NASDAQ 100 peaked in February. So we've been going down most of the indexes. For example, the semiconductors peaked last July. Most of the indexes have been going down for several months. So I don't think it's tariff caused. I think it's just the natural development of human psychology as we're going from this optimism and euphoria down to what we think is going to be more of a deeper bear market where we get very pessimistic.
So you think we're heading for a deeper bear market?
Yeah, I think this is just the early stages, the first and
Oh,
second
geez.
inning. And so I think we've got a lot ahead of us, and it pays, I think, going forward to be safe with your investments.
What would be, I guess, the sentiment for gold, let's say, and precious metals with all the uncertainty in the markets? Where do you place gold? Do you think it's going higher? Will it level off? We're making new all-time highs in the past 6, 7 months and continue to make new all-time highs. But what are your thoughts on the precious metals?
Yeah, what's interesting is we look at gold in a couple different aspects. First, we look at like the Dow gold ratio, because I think that gives us a good indication of where we are in terms of monetary inflation. And that Dow gold ratio peaked in July of 1999, 26 years ago, when the Dow could buy about 40 ounces of gold. And now we're down 71%, 72%, I think, as we're speaking, from that peak reading in 1999. That was the peak of the Dow's real value in terms of real money.
Right.
So we've had a bear market, and it's just that the illusion of high prices is because of monetary inflation and loss of purchasing power. Now, what's interesting is that gold, since that high in July of 1999 relative to the Dow, is up, I think, about 1,100%. Whereas the Dow itself is only up about 500%. And then, NASDAQ's up about 600%. So gold has outperformed the stock market over the past 26 years. Now, more recently, we got bullish on gold at around 1810 in October 2023. It's had a tremendous run. We thought it got a little bit overdone around 3,200. And we said, you know what? I think this could be the end of the run. And then since then, we've bounced up even higher than that. So we may have to reassess that as gold has been proven to be, I think, the ultimate safe haven. I think on a short-term basis, it's got a little bit ahead of itself. A lot of the indicators we're looking at suggest that there could be a short-term pullback here, or at least a short-term pullback. So in the near term, you got to be a little bit careful. But I think overall, people need to have gold as a part of their portfolio, because it really is the ultimate safe haven. And we can see that as other assets have been declining in terms of value, gold still has held its value and as it continues to move higher.
There's about $15 trillion worth of physical gold in the world sitting there costing money rather than being used. Is just absolutely insane. Monetary Metals is bringing gold back into the financial world, putting gold to productive use right now. The problem with gold, of course, in physical form is that it's heavy, it's cumbersome, it's not particularly easy to ship, and it costs money to store in a protected manner. This platform Monetary Metals created is a proven concept and allows gold to be put to productive use, so that instead of sitting there costing you money, it's actually in use earning you money.
Learn how you can earn 2 to 5% in our leasing program and how accredited investors can earn up to 12% on silver paid in silver. This advertisement is not investment or financial advice. Minimum investment applies.
Absolutely, Steve. What's your biggest concern, Steve, in not only just the markets, but what do you have your eye on these days? Is it bonds, commercial real estate? Is it the treasuries? What's your biggest concern right now that you have an eye on?
Yes, 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 yes. All of them. Stocks I think, are starting a bear market. I think it started with the semiconductors last July. Bond prices are going down with stock prices, so they're not the safe haven, I think, that people thought they were. And I think people are losing a little bit of their sense of security in U.S. assets right now. The U.S. dollar has been down. One of the markets that we've been all over and forecasting very well, been down since the January 13th high, making new lows, yearly new lows. And so, yeah, everything is kind of deflating in value. If you look at the commodities, wheat is down, oil is down, steel is down 50%. So I think things are deflating. People are always worried about inflation,
Right.
but I think the ultimate end game here is deflation. And I think we're seeing a lot of the asset prices. And I think that's really where gold comes in and silver comes in. Silver concerns me a little bit because it's kind of a mix of a precious metal and an industrial metal. Hasn't been able to get above its high last October, which is around, I think, 34.92
Right.
an ounce. And that, I think, is portending that the economy is starting to weaken here. I think we're going in a recession, and I think maybe that's what silver is telling us right there in its performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, when did you start being a market analyst? How did this all begin? Yeah, like give us a little bit of backstory on your history. This is your first time on the channel, so I'd love to people to get to know you more. But where did it all begin?
Well, I studied it growing up, and when I got out of college, and I won't give you my age, but I'm old, in the early 1980s. I didn't have a job. I didn't know where I wanted to do, and I talked my way into working at a brokerage house, a major
Wow.
investment. But I started on the retail side, and I was the world's worst retail broker. No one worse than I was, because I hated asking people for money.
Right.
But what got me interested, I think, in Elliott wave analysis in particular, was I was walking around our office, and I'm reading everything from the old Quotron and what people have on their desks. And there was this guy named Robert Prechter, who at the time in 1984 had just won the United States Trading Championship with a 444% return in a matter of like 3 months or so. And
Jeez.
I just said to myself, yeah, I need to know what this guy is doing, because what he's doing is working, and what I was doing at the time wasn't working. So worked for the investment firm for a while, went back, got my graduate degree, and when I got done with it, called up Bob, and I said, Bob, I really like your material. I'd like to come work for you. And he said, come down to Georgia and we'll see what we can do. And
Wow.
came with the firm, let's see, 1994. So I've been with them 35 years now.
Hello, my fellow silver and gold stacker. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the channel. Subscribe, please like the video, and also hit the notification bell. Keep stacking. Wow, that's impressive. What an interesting story, how it can it's crazy how time flies, and at the same time, how your journey progressed. I find that fascinating. And I want people to connect with you guys at Elliott Wave International. I do have a link from you guys that I'm going to put in the links in the description below so everyone can go connect with. But what do you guys offer exactly at Elliott Wave International? Like, is it investments, or what is it exactly?
Well, it's analysis, and it's using the model we have, the wave principle, to really look at the markets. Because if we can decide where we are within the development of these patterns, we can't know the future 100%, but we can kind of look around that next corner and imply something about the future. And so what we did is, I know you mentioned the link, we put something together for your viewers here. If you go to elliottwave.com, 2 L's and 2 T's, one word, Elliott Wave /WSB for Wall Street Bullion. We have a special offer for the theorists, which is what Bob Prechter writes, monthly newsletter. I write the Elliott Wave financial forecast with my partner Pete Kendall, and then another a little bonus on top of that is a 3 times a week short-term update looking at the markets after the markets close on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So it's just a great value, and everything we have at our site, you can just kind of click around, and a lot of free stuff and interesting material. And I think people might be interested in kind of the way we look at things, which is a little bit different than just reading the news. And so I
Right.
think the patterns might be interested to a lot of people.
Yeah, no, Steve, it's such a huge pleasure having you come down. Everyone watching, highly recommend. Please go check out Elliott Wave International. I'm going to put the link in the description below. And Steve, this is your first time, but I really hope it's not the last time. As the market develops, I really love to have you back on the show.
Love to be back, Ivan. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Talk to you soon.
See ya.